everyone, welcome back to BistroBuzz TV. Today we're going to be making the no-bake oatmeal peanut butter cookies, and I'm going to be using butter. I'm going to be using the Country Crock. That will be 1/4 cup of butter. I'm going to be using Cool Whip. This is the light Cool Whip. I'm going to be using this in the place of 1.5 cups of sugar and 1/2 cup of milk. I just prefer using the Cool Whip. It just adds a little bit of sweetness, and then it takes the place of the sugar and the milk. I'm going to be using 2/3 cup of peanut butter, and I'm going to be using the creamy, so I'm going to be adding some peanuts to that as well. 1 tablespoon of vanilla, 3 cups of the Quaker Oats, old-fashioned oats, and then 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Butter, I placed it into the measuring cup, and I'm going to place it in the microwave for about 20 seconds. All melted now. That was 20 seconds in the microwave, and now I'm going to add 1.5 cups of the Cool Whip mixing bowl, and I've taken the Cool Whip, placed it into the mixing bowl. I poured the butter, the melted butter, over the Cool Whip, and now I'm going to mix that up really well. Share real quickly the reason why I'm using the Cool Whip is because it calls for a 1.5 cup of sugar and 1/2 cup of milk. And for the sugar, I just rather use the Cool Whip, and it makes it taste really, really good. So I just go ahead and I use 1 carton of the Cool Whip. Next, I'm going to add a tablespoon of vanilla. I'm going to mix the vanilla up really well with the butter and the Cool Whip. And next, I'm going to add some peanuts. Now, the reason why I'm going to add peanuts is because the peanut butter is not crunchy, and we really want the peanuts added to the cookies. So I'm going to add the peanuts next. I added 1/3 cup of peanuts, and I'm just going to add that to the butter, the Cool Whip, and the vanilla. And next I'm going to add just a little bit of salt, usually about 1/8 or 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I've added the salt. I'm just going to mix that really well. You can also add walnuts to this as well, but this time I'm not going to add that. I've just added the peanuts. So next I'm going to add the peanut butter, and I'm going to add about 2/3 cup of peanut butter. So let's go ahead and do that. I added the 2/3 cup of peanut butter, so I'm going to stir that up really good. And I just want to note, I always keep the peanut butter in the refrigerator. Does anyone else do this? Because I've told that to some people, and they just kind of look at me really funny. And they say they never store their peanut butter in the refrigerator, but I usually do. I had heard of that from someone a while back, and that's all I do now. I just store the peanut butter in the refrigerator. But if you store your peanut butter in the refrigerator, please leave a comment below, and we'll see how many do store the peanut butter in the refrigerator. Maybe it's not a thing, but I did hear it one time, and that's just what I've always done. So I'm going to stir the peanut butter into the Cool Whip and the butter and the peanuts, and then we're going to add the Quaker Oats. Okay, I've got everything stirred up really good, and you really want to stir up the peanut butter really well, because once you add the oats into this, it's a little bit harder to stir it up. So just make sure you stir all the peanut butter up. And right now this is so yummy. It's really, really yummy. And if you don't want to try the Cool Whip, definitely do the sugar and the milk. But the Cool Whip adds a really, really nice taste to it. So now we're going to add the oats. That's going to be 3 cups of the oats. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, I've added 3 cups of oats. I did add a little bit more than 3. I probably added 3.5. And at this point, again, you can add walnuts, you can add cranberries, you can add raisins if you would like. But I'm not going to do that. I just added peanuts to this one. So I'm going to go ahead and mix these up really, really well, and we'll be right back. I have stirred this really well here, the oats, and it's really not that hard to stir, but if you get your peanut butter mixed in really, really well before you add the oats, it makes it just a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do now is get a cookie pan, and we're going to place these on the pan. We'll be placing these into the refrigerator because we're not going to have to bake them, and we will be right back. And I'm going to use this time. Usually this is the one that I use to make loaf bread, and I just decided I'm going to add these a little bit differently than I usually do. I'm going to make them a little bit larger cookie, each of them. So I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of peanut butter to the bottom of the pan here, and then I'm going to add the cookie dough. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm doing with the peanut butter, I had 1 teaspoon of the peanut butter and I'm just spreading it across the bottom. And now I've added another teaspoon and I'm just spreading it across the bottom. So you'll want to add enough peanut butter, or you can use cashew butter along the bottom of the pan that you use. And then I'm going to add the cookie dough. So we'll be right back. See how the pan looks after adding the peanut butter. And now I'm going to add the cookie dough. The way I get the cookie dough into the pan is I use 2 spoons and I just grab just a large portion of the cookie dough and I place it into the pan, and you can see how easy it is to spread. I think with the Cool Whip, and if you use the milk and the sugar combined, it just makes it spread really easily. But you can see here, even if you just use the Cool Whip, it just spreads very easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all of the cookie dough to the pan and we'll be back. So here's what we have. I've added all the cookie dough to the pan. It's pretty well even across the top. I'm going to place this into the refrigerator for about an hour. After an hour, you can go ahead and cut the little pieces of cookie however you want it. And usually what I do is I will cut this all the way down in the middle, and then I'll make several cookies from this. And they're pretty small cookies, but they're really good because they're kind of high. They're not, you know, they're not really small in height cookies. But I'll show you how that's done later. But you can keep these in the refrigerator for about 3 days. And they're okay, 3 or 4 days. And then if you want to freeze them, you can freeze them up to, let's say, 2, 3, 4 months. I've had some that's been around 4 months, but I wouldn't go any longer than 4 months. But they make really good cookies if you just want to put them in the refrigerator, keep them for the week, or if you want to just put them in the freezer and have the cookies like that. And if you do that, they kind of taste a little bit like cookie dough. They're really good. So I'm going to go ahead and place these into the refrigerator for about an hour, and we will be back. These have been in the refrigerator for about an hour, and I did place aluminum foil on top of them. So what I'm going to do now is show you how I cut each of these, and we will be back. You can see here how I cut them. I just place a line down the middle and then make 8 different little oatmeal cookies. Very good. You can take these out and then serve them. You can place peanuts, almonds, walnuts, any kind of fruit that you wish to serve them with. And I will take one out in just a moment and show you exactly what it looks like. Here are 2 of the cookies placed together. You can see the texture, very easy to cut. I think one of the main things to do is when you place these in the refrigerator, place aluminum foil on top of the pan that you have the cookies on, and that way you'll be able to cut them very easily. If you don't have the aluminum foil on top of them, they will be a harder texture than this. So these are our cookies, peanut butter, oatmeal, no-bake cookies. If you decide to make these, please let us know if you add different kinds of nuts or if you serve them with fruit or whatever you serve them with. Please like and subscribe and come back to visit us again soon. Thanks everyone.